Welcome back to another episode of TVGP's We Roguelike It. We're starting a brand new game, Returnal. I'm your host, Boston. I'm playing this on the PlayStation 5. I'm joined, as always, by Moonpeer.
Hi, PC. Shockingly enough, I know, because I don't have the aforementioned PlayStation 5.
Right, which we'll get to here in a minute, because I have some questions. Just explain this game for those that aren't playing along with us. Returnal is developed by Housemarque, the studio that brought us the what are those around the planet arcade shooters that was
Resogun.
Yeah, they did Resogun too. They made the Alien Nation. They made a whole bunch of other games that I'm also thinking of. Yeah, I'll pull them up here. Super Stardust. Whew, there we go. Thank you. Dead Nation, all that sort of stuff. This is a third-person shooter / bullet hell nightmare.
Yes.
So if you haven't played it, that kind of gives you the overview of it, and it's a roguelike too. If you haven't figured that out here by this time, so this is on the PS5. It's kind of an early showcase for the DualSense controller. It does a lot of stuff with the haptics and the speaker together. It does a whole bunch of stuff with a very kind of delicate rumble stuff. Let
me tell you about all of the splash screens I got recommending I use a DualSense controller.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
The big question I have for you is, pretty quickly when you get into the game, they introduce you to every weapon having an alt fire. And on the PS5, when you pull the left trigger, sorry, L2, if you want to be specific about it, pulling it halfway...
No, I prefer LT, thanks. That's how my controller designates it as.
Right. I really wish you could play this with a DualSense controller, because it's really
Then
great.
send me one of yours, punk.
Okay, send me your address.
You know my address.
You give me a lot of credit. I don't remember anything. But you pull the thing, and the trigger stops halfway, and then you have to pull it a little bit harder to pull it all the way down for alt fire.
Oh, you have to crank that.
You don't have to crank it too much, but like it stops, and then you have to pull just a little bit more to do alt fire. How does that work with a non-DualSense controller?
Hold the left bumper and pull that right trigger. So left trigger is aim down sights, and left bumper is activate secondary fire mode.
Interesting. All right, not that bad, because I guess the R1, L1, the bumper buttons don't really do anything. Well, L1...
Right bumper is consumable.
Oh, so they switch it. Okay, it's L1 on the DualSense. Interesting. Okay, that's an interesting way of doing it. So, I have, just to give everyone a little bit of groundwork here, I have played and finished this game before, so I'm coming back to Returnal in sort of a Returnal thematic way.
One might say we are doing a hybrid episode here or hybrid series here of Critical Misses We Roguelike It.
Right.
Critical Misses It.
That's right. I did delete my save, so I started the game all the way over from the beginning, so I could kind of get the same experience that Moon is getting here. Also, I couldn't remember half of what I was doing in the game and all the upgrades I had. How are you feeling about Returnal here, kind of getting started? I guess, how much did you play it over the last couple of weeks here?
So I played it a fair bit. My monitor is relatively new, but it's not an expensive monitor, so I don't have like HDR or anything like that on it.
Oh yeah.
This game is dark. Like I literally went into the control settings looking for a flashlight because and then I had to go in and bounce that gamma way up there.
Yeah, I had to bounce it up to, I think it's like 65%, because it's some of the game
dark, dude.
Some of the game is brighter, but that first area especially is pretty dark. And I have HDR on my TV, and that still doesn't help a ton. And I don't have it on my monitors here, but like it's still pretty rough. Yeah.
Yeah, like that was the thing that like honestly immediately was the thing that like got to me. It was just like, oh, it's so dark. I can't see anything. Um, minor aside, part of my project for playing this was I managed to get it to mirror onto my Xbox
Oh,
screen.
Nice.
So I basically, I'll probably talk about this on the pre-show. I don't know what it is with me and Bluetooth. There just seems to be something. Maybe my T-addled veins are just like interfering with Bluetooth in some way.
Your personal electric field is messing with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I had to plug my controller in to get it to work. Like it would work.
Oh, okay.
And then just like with Helldivers, after a while it just turned to the right and stayed turning to the right. And then my controller disconnected, then reconnected. And then it would turn to the left and stay turning to the left. And then my controller disconnected and then reconnected.
Right.
So I have to be wired is the thing I've learned when playing games on my PC.
Okay.
Probably for the best anyway. But yeah, I got it to mirror to my Xbox, to my actual television by direct streaming from my PC to my Xbox. And oh boy, that picture was just as dark, so that did not help me at all.
Biscuits.
Bright side is, by doing so, I did get to use my my good headphones. Not these headphones, which are okay, but my good headphones.
Nice.
I don't know, the game... It's so okay. So progression. I got the teleporty thing.
Okay. Okay. Is that the? How many upgrades do you have?
I don't know, like 4 or 5.
How many bosses have you? Well, okay. So upgrades in this.
Bosses.
Okay. Well, have you fought a boss?
The first one that kills you. And then it shows you the clip of you dying in the exact way you died, which is just not nice.
Right. Okay. So that when you like fell down into like a red misty area?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know about that, but definitely the bit where it's the red enemy that does the firing across the floor trick.
Yeah, it's like a tall guy.
Yes, sure.
Okay. Not one of those wolf things that has tentacles?
No, it was one of those.
Okay, that's not a boss.
Yeah, I figured.
Welcome to hell.
He killed me instantly. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, those aren't boss. Those are just, number one, they're nasty. Number two, they're real rough. And playing this game again, I'm reminded how much all of the enemies have a tell when they're going to do the attacks, but in true roguelike fashion, it's up to you to figure out what that is and what they're going to do. As the game is just going to launch a giant, super deadly enemy at you and be like, hey, you didn't figure it out? Well, because we're starting the loop back over again, man. Welcome to the ship.
Yep. And it also it is a third-person shoot-'em-up game. And for once, this was true. For once, like, it's not often this happens, but for once, jumping is vital. Vital.
Yeah.
Jumping is vital. Like,
your air dash is incredibly necessary.
So it's just jumping over regular bullets. Like,
yep.
There's a lot of enemies that will hit like you 50, 60 times in like less than 2 seconds. Jumping is key.
And it's interesting because you can dash through stuff while you're dashing. You're invincible, but a lot of times it's just easier to just hoop and just jump right over it and you're done with it, instead of just like, I dashed into another wall of bullets, oh god.
I'm playing the Final Fantasy 11 skip rope game. Like, that's exactly what I'm doing every single time. Sorry, I just gave myself PTSD from that thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, is I like the fact that the enemy fire is so vibrant. It's very clearly visible. It's just the rest of the game. I fell down like 7 pits, dude, and it is extremely punishing when you fall down a hole.
Yeah, because not only does it take a bunch of your integrity, which is like your health essentially. But it resets your adrenaline at the same time too. So it's like, oh, cool, you just took off, 15 to 20% of my suit's health, and now I'm back to 0.0 times integrity. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Love it. Yeah, I consider myself to be pretty good at this game. Kind of still, I remembered how to ride the bike pretty quickly, but like I had an enemy in one of the areas rush me, so I jumped up in the air because it was going to do a larger kind of ringed attack. Jumped up in the air, something else grabbed me, so I dashed out of the way. Backwards.
Was it one of those stupid tentacle things that pull you up to the ceiling, like the mollusks or whatever from Half-Life?
No, those are my little buddies. They help you. They help you platform a lot when I don't feel like going the long way around. It's an enemy you haven't run into yet. But I essentially I was up in the air and I dashed backwards to get away from it. I dashed directly into an enemy and it knocked me backwards and down into a pit, killing me and ending my run. And I was like, good, great, good. Thanks. Thanks so much. Well, I love you, Returnal. You so-and-so.
Yeah. I don't know. So far, it's pretty... I was trying to explain this to somebody else. It is not often that you get a roguelike with a big budget. And I'm not saying that Returnal had a huge budget. I'm just saying it's not Turner Boy Saves the World. It's not,
it
Genesis
feels
Alpha
big
1.
Budget.
Yes, and it was a PlayStation exclusive for a developer that essentially is a PlayStation developer. I think they are actually third party only for Sony. I think
they are now, yeah.
Like, you could tell they put some legs behind this. Like, they put quite a few zeros in the development of this game.
Well, and Sony made it like a showpiece for the PS5 of like, here's all these big.
It was one of the few games that came out at launch too, right? It was like, I think Ratchet and Clank, and this was like, no, Ratchet and Clank was delayed. It was the other one, the Astrobots Playroom.
That's the other one. That comes installed on the PS5 by default. But like, it was interesting to see at this launch was like Ratchet and Clank, and they were talking about, I think pretty early on, the Demon's Souls remake and a bunch of this other stuff, and Returnal. It's like, wow, you're putting like a kind of indie third-person shooter roguelike bullet hell thing here. Like, okay, cool, sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty interesting because I think coming back to it after playing it really early in the PS5's life, it's impressive how good it still looks, because it's been a couple of years since the PS5 has come out. It looks really good, especially the kind of how to talk about this without spoiling it. There are some areas.
It has a story.
Yeah, it has a story which I actually really like. I kind of like the psychological horror aspects to it. There's some first-person segments that are in closed spaces that I think are really interesting.
Yeah, I've got one of those in the ship so far.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a different one of my favorite moments.
I found the house. I just can't go in the house yet.
Okay. That's one of my favorite moments in this game, where you're on a very clearly alien planet and you kind of turn a corner and there's just like a white picket fence house. And I like that Celine is just like, what is, what's going on here?
That was pretty much my reaction too, if I'm completely honest.
Yeah, a lot of those are really cool. Also, if anyone is playing this along with us, a reminder, please play this with the sound on. That will be important in future segments. But it's been interesting to go back to it and see, like, yeah, it's this cool kind of larger budget indie roguelike, and it still feels so good. Like shooting all this stuff, getting the active reloads down for the different weapons.
Yeah, can we talk about that? The game has
Yeah,
active reload. People constantly talk about not enough games having active reload. Yo, this game has it.
and you can argue that it's more stressful than Gears, because a lot of times you're jumping and dashing and like dashing backwards towards the camera while 4 things are coming at you, and you're trying to active reload, not only so you can get the benefit, but also so you can shoot the flippin' gun again, because like, oh great, now here are the bats that are flying at me, those are coming here too, all right, cool. Like it's the game still feels super stressful, but part of what I love about it is it just feels so good to play once you get your arms around it, of just shooting and dashing and getting around the enemies and kind of having the sense.
I was expecting the movement to be slower. Like, it is really quick motion. Like, there isn't a lot of build up from walking to running. Like, as you tilt your stick,
she cooks, man.
1 degree, and it's like walk, and then anything above that, it's like, no, I'm going full tilt. Let's go.
And we've complained about this in plenty of roguelikes, but man, her sprint speed is fast. Like when you click in that stick, you are cooking through rooms. But there's this interesting part of what I love so much about this game is there's this interesting push and pull between how fast you move and how fast you should move through the game. Like, there's such a cool health upgrade mechanic that if you have full health pickups, 3 of them will increase your suit's integrity past its maximum. So there's this thing of like, normally in this game, it's like, well, you want to play as perfectly as possible. That way you can just get through the game and like fight enough bosses and etc. But I like that there's this extra, like, not really risk reward, but this kind of like, I really need to play well, because if I can invest in playing safely in the first area, then I can be prepared for additional future stuff even better. Or like, maybe I'm going to leave these small health upgrades here and come back to them later because you can always see them on the map.
Yeah, and you have the teleportation fast travel system too now as well.
Right, so like maybe I'll leave them here, and then maybe I'll find a bigger one that will fill me up later, and then I'll do these upgrades. Or, you know, I have a really great weapon, maybe I'll do one of these side challenge rooms and just get a ton of health upgrades all at once, but knowing that those are going to be more difficult, sort of out of hand. There's so much in this game that is that kind of push and pull of like, movement is fast and shooting is fast, you have this dodging, but I find myself, as soon as I've kind of, as safely as I can, take out all the enemies in a room, take my time, kind of investigate everything in the room, find all the hidden stuff.
Yes, I am taking the Metroidvania approach too.
Yeah, and it's like, I like that kind of, that push and pull, that kind of, it's not a game that is going full tilt the entire time you're playing it. It's I like that there's this ebb and flow of kind of like, all right, I definitely know there's no more enemies. You know, the 3rd wave of enemies spawned in, which still kind of drives me a little nuts in this game of like, all right, I killed 2 waves of enemies. All right, I'm going to keep... Oh no, now there's more bats. Okay, I cleaned those out. Whoops, I missed some turrets. All right, I cleared those out. Am I good now? Like, is this room clear? All right, this room seems clear.
I like the adrenaline system. Like, I will say that. Like,
I like that a lot.
The more damage you do without taking, or the more stuff you do without taking damage, increases your adrenaline and gives you a bunch of perks, like the bigger window for the active reload. It lets you see the enemies through walls, like and stuff like that. Like, that's a nice little touch of, hey, if you do damage and avoid damage, then you actually get rewarded consistently for it too.
Right. Have you run into any parasites yet? The parasite system?
Yes, I have my first parasite. I did find another one who was on the floor and looked pathetic, but I didn't pick him because he was terrible.
So I ran into one that I totally forgot about that I think is my favorite one in this game. So for anyone that isn't playing, parasites are essentially like a curse blessing mechanic where you get some sort of benefit, but you get some sort of negative at the same time. And sometimes the benefit is pretty great. Like one that I avoid because I know it will kill runs is like anytime you recover integrity, it does 50% more integrity, but you take fall damage. And it's like, oh, that's really good, but really bad. I'm going to die to fall damage at some point because this game doesn't have fall damage. I'll totally forget about it. The one I picked up this morning while I was playing is the one I forgot about, which is the negative is that the oubliettes, whatever the currency is, disappears.
The orange stuff.
Yeah, that like yellowy, orangey stuff. That disappears 1 second faster, which whatever. But the benefit is you get 1x more gun damage per adrenaline level.
Okay, so just like the best one that exists, essentially.
I am cooking through the run I have right now. I haven't made my way to the boss that's giving me trouble. It's the boss that always gives me trouble. But like I am motoring my way through this game. And I also thing I forgot about this game too is the system of as you're increasing your what's the other the bar, it's the little blue items.
Weapon proficiency.
Proficiency, thank you. As you increase your weapon proficiency, better weapons drop at higher tiers and higher damage, and they also have more perks on them. And I forgot the system of a gun will drop with a perk that's locked on it, and you need to kill however many enemies with that gun to unlock that perk. But then that perk is unlocked by default on those guns forever as soon as you run into them, which is a kind of cool system that I forgot about, where it's like, oh yeah, now this gun just also shoots out rockets at the same time, and it's a handgun, and it reloads even faster.
Yeah, I got the SMG. Well, I think it's the SMG carbine is what they call it. So rifle / SMG.
Yeah, the carbine.
I used that enough to get the hardened ability, and I was like, wait, is that a shield on the front of my gun I have now?
Yep,
100% it is.
It's real good. Yeah, the carbine is probably my favorite. There's one other gun that I like. The guns in this game are really weird because I really like the handgun, the carbine, and one other one that I'm not going to spoil. But a lot of the other guns I really hate. The shotgun, the rocket launcher, the grenade launcher, I think are all exceptionally terrible. The rocket launcher is especially really bad because it has, as far as I know, someone please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. It doesn't have any sort of lock-on system, and the number of enemies you are hopefully fighting at an extreme distance is pretty high. So I'm just whiffing trios of rockets at pretty constantly. It's like, that doesn't feel great. Thanks so much.
Of course.
Yeah.
So. I know when this game came out, there was a whole bunch of issues of the fact that you couldn't save it essentially in the middle of a run.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah.
I do like the fact that now you can, because I'm in the middle of a run now and I suspended the run. And it's like, just so you know, you can suspend and resume, you can suspend and exit, or you can resume the game. And it's like, cool, I'm going to suspend and resume, and I'll go back into the run and continue where I was. This wasn't co-op when it was originally released.
No, the Tower of Sisyphus update / DLC also introduced not only an endless dungeon that I have not dove into yet, I just unlocked it, but it also unlocked co-op, and it also unlocked the thing that I liked that Diablo 3 did. To be clear, there are tons of other games that did it before someone decides to be a dude on the internet about it. But I like that Diablo 3 did like, hey, someone died here. Do you want to avenge them and get a bunch of ether, which is kind of your permanent unlockable currency, and you get to fight like a super powered stronger like champion enemy. And if you do that, you get like 4 or 5 ether. It's quite a bit for the beginning of the
I
game.
did that against my own dead body, which was hilarious.
That's great. I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah, it was the red thing that killed me originally and sent me back at the start of the loop. I think it was supposed to kill you.
Yeah, your first run gets pretty hard pretty quickly.
Apparently, this game is cross save.
Interesting.
So
okay.
you can do PC and PlayStation cross save functionality. I did just Google it because I needed to know. It's not cross play, which is hilarious to me. The fact that
okay,
like the fact that you cannot play this game cross play, a PlayStation 5 exclusive. Hold on, shock of shocks. Beep 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 beep. Sony disables cross play for a PlayStation 5 exclusive that's now launched on the PC. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, never saw that one coming.
Which was annoying because I was about to suggest that maybe me and you should find some time together and try
true.
This,
I'll have to. I don't think I have this on PC.
Out.
It's also interesting.
I bought it on Steam, by the way.
Okay.
And apparently, when it originally launched, it was an Epic Store exclusive because now I have a bunch of Epic installer stuff installed whenever I launch an Epic game from Steam. Which is funny because I also have the Epic Store installed.
Right.
So of course.
It's interesting you mentioned the suspending a run because on the PS5 when you pick the suspend run option, it just comes up with a message that just says, "Hey, hold the PlayStation button and close the game. You're done. You suspended your game." And then when you open the app back up, it just picks that save back up.
It's like
automatically.
Quick resume on the Xbox Series X kind of thing.
No, because
it just launches it straight into the thing.
Well, you still go through like the loading stuff in the thing, but like as soon as it does the like boop 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 boop, and like we're right back in the business, which is great.
I realize I might be a monster for this. Okay. By the way, totally went into my Steam files and deleted the intro videos, so I don't have to watch those stupid things.
That's a common
every time.
The little Sony Marvel thing, Housemarque logo. Let's get me into there.
I was like, delete.
Yep.
Delete.
Yep.
But yeah,
all right.
So since we can't do crossplay, I might have to, and since I forced him to get spend $900,000 on a new graphics card, I might check and see if a certain friend of the show has played this before, which I doubt he has. And if he has not, I might rope him in to do some co-op on this and see how it flows.
Yeah, I'll have to see.
While I remember, I'm just going to text him.
Yeah, let me see how much this is on. It's still $60 on Steam.
100% still $60, dude. Guess who paid $60 this week?
Yeah, him. I paid $70 when it came out.
Sorry. No, you didn't. You paid $60.
No, I bought the big dumb pre-order.
Oh, you bought the deluxe edition.
I bought the Suckers edition. Yeah.
Guess what? I spent like $120 this week, dude, because I also had to buy Pacific Drive.
Oh yeah, I had to buy that too. Yikes. No. All right. Any final thoughts here for Returnal?
No. I'm curious to see what grows. I know I didn't get a lot of time to put into it this week, but check out pre-show for more news on. Maybe pre-show, so maybe you won't get to hear it. But I'll have more time starting this upcoming week. So hopefully I can sit down and put some proper time into it. 91 minutes is what I've played so far, just in case you were curious.
Okay.
Which at 30 minutes a day, that's 3 days I spent playing this game.
Right.
Go check out our early content for news on that front.
I was doing some Googling about something else in this game. Ran across this IGN article from May 14th, 2021. Housemarque found out about Returnal's $70 price tag at the same time as everyone else. Oh, Sony. Sony.
Check out this week's main show for more Sony news.
Yeah, what are you doing, Sony? All right. On that note, thank you very much, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next run. Bye.
Bye.